law of the land, and any law notwithstanding is invalid, is unconstitutional. So Texas can make any law that it wants except a law that would legalize slavery, or otherwise violate your rights. Oh, and then it's also said that all persons, senators and members of the several state legislatures and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by an oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. So, again, we're supporting this trust idea. You've got to take an oath. You've got to promise to protect people's rights. But no oath or affirmation, but no religious test shall ever be required. So, we can't eliminate certain religions or even atheists. You can't have a religious test. Article 7 is basically just signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours. It just says the 17th day of September, 1787, blah, 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 and this is, done and good. So the 7th Amendment is mostly signatures. And the 6th Amendment or the 6th article is relatively short. So the three that are, typically important are 1, 2, and 3, legislative, executive, judicial. 4 establishes the relationship between the states and the federal. 5 is how do you amend it. 6 is we're going to keep our debts. And 7 is we're out of here. Put your signature down.
Now, should we properly refer to the government as federal or national?
Well, I'm just telling you what the Constitution says. I didn't say that I like all of it.
Mike, and some of those debts and contracts were with England also.
Yeah, that may be true.
France and Spain, but also
Yeah.
England they had to pay.
Whatever the debts were prior, during the Articles of Confederation, those were all valid. So we were not going to be real scumbags and eliminate the debt just by refusing to pay. Okay. So, now, before it would be ratified, several of the states demanded that we have a Bill of Rights. It gives a whole lot of power to the federal government, and we're worried about that. And so we want it, and they said, oh, you got your rights. Alexander Hamilton said, don't worry about it. You don't need to put that on paper. Yeah, right. We want it in writing. So, most people know that the Constitution has a preamble. Most people do not know that the Bill of Rights also has a preamble. I was reading that in some book. It said the preamble to the Bill of Rights. They went, oh, typo. They meant Bill of Rights, preamble to the Constitution. And they started giving me something I'd never read before, and I jumped up because I've got the Constitution and the Bill of Rights hanging in my hallway. And I went over and I looked at it and I went, go to hell. Look at that. So, the preamble to the Bill of Rights. The conventions of a number of the states, having at the time of their adopting the Constitution, expressed a desire, in order to prevent misconstruction or abuse of its powers, that further declaratory and restrictive clauses should be added, and as extending the ground of public confidence in the government will best ensure the benefit and ends of its institution. So what? So we wrote the Bill of Rights to prevent misconstruction or abuse of its powers. Whose powers? Congress, government. Okay? So we don't want them to get out of hand. So what are we going to do? We are going to add further declaratory and restrictive clauses. Does a declaratory clause ask for permission? No. I'm telling you that I've got freedom of speech. I'm telling you that I've got a right to keep and bear arms. I'm not asking. These are further restrictive clauses. We're putting restrictions on the power of government. What are the original restrictive clauses? The Constitution. So the Constitution are restrictions on Congress's power, and we're going to add further restrictions. The Bill of Rights cannot be repealed. You can't go in and say, well, we're just going to scratch out the Second Amendment. We don't need that anymore. Wait a minute. You didn't give it to us in the first place. You can't take it back. We gave it to you. We are telling you that we have freedom of religion, not asking. So,
But how do we stop them? Because we can get an amendment to change the Bill of Rights, like we have other amendments.
no, that is not true. You can get amendments to change the other amendments. The 18th Amendment established prohibition. The 21st Amendment repealed it.
Right.
But that has nothing to do with rights. If we can change, let's talk about Rosie O'Donnell, because we're going to talk about all of these amendments. All right? Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms. Rosie O'Donnell and her million moms want to go to Washington, and they say, all we got to do is just get enough moms to vote, and we're going to just repeal the Second Amendment. And we're going to take away, your right to keep and bear arms. Okay, let's take that and say, you're going to repeal my Second Amendment, so I'm going to go to Washington with my billion fathers, and we're going to repeal we're going to repeal the First Amendment. We're just going to take away your freedom of religion. You going to do that? You going to sit still for any of that? I say you can't go to church unless you're, Branch Davidian. Ever going to change over to Branch Davidian? No! We didn't give you freedom of religion. You were born with it. Nobody can take it away from you. It is unalienable. It's a part of who you are. It's like the dreams that you had last night. You can tell me your dreams, but you can't give them to me. It's integral to who you are. You've got a heart, you've got lungs. You give me any of that, you stop existing. I can kill you, but I can't take away your right to life. I can violate your right to life, but I can't take it away from you. They cannot take away your freedom of religion, your freedom of speech, or a right to keep and bear arms. The Bill of Rights doesn't give it to you in the first place.
I understand that. But they can modify the Constitution, including the Bill of Rights, if we don't stop them.
They can burn it. They can shred it. They can get rid of the Declaration of Independence. That doesn't make your rights go away. So let them make any changes they want. They can shred the Bill of Rights. They're ignoring it so much anyway.
That's the whole
The Constitution is only a national monument, under nitrogen gas in Washington, D.C. It's a novelty. It is something to look at. Here, kids. What's it say, Dad? I don't know. It's the Bill of Rights. You think I know what the heck the Bill of Rights says? I went to a government-controlled school. I have no idea what my rights are. I don't have a concealed carry permit. Won't get one, don't want one, don't need one. Don't need permission from anybody. People say, well, the interpretation of the Supreme Court is the only one that counts when we're talking about the Second Amendment. Oh, really? Well, then you come and stand in front of my front door when the government comes to collect my guns. You're going to find out that my interpretation of the Second Amendment is the only one you need to be worried about. Make sure you got your insurance paid up and kiss your kids goodbye. I'm not giving up my guns any more than I'm willing to give up my freedom of speech. Shred it. I don't care. It's a piece of paper. I am willing to stand up and defend my rights.